If you're an Elvis fan, you probably remember exactly where you were when you heard about Lisa Marie's passing. The only daughter of the King of Rock, the little girl who grew up running through the halls of Graceland, was suddenly gone at just 54 years old in January 2023. But what really happened in her final hours? What was she feeling? Did she know how sick she truly was? And what was the devastating decision her mother, Priscilla Presley, had to make inside the hospital? Today, I'm going to take you step by step through the final hours of Lisa Marie Presley, based on official reports, the autopsy, family interviews, and medical documents. And in the end, you'll understand why so many people say Lisa Marie died of two things at the same time: a surgical complication and a broken heart. Stay with me until the end, because the last minutes of this video will shake any Elvis fan to the core. When we talk about the final hours of Lisa Marie Presley, it's impossible to understand the outcome without facing what she had been carrying long before that January 12, 2023. To many, she was simply Elvis's daughter. But behind that title was a woman who spent her entire life navigating between light and shadow, a blend of emotional privilege and emotional pain. Long before her physical health collapsed, her emotional health had already been deteriorating for years. Lisa Marie was born into a storm of fame. At just a few months old, she was already photographed, followed by security and discussed by the press. Growing up in Graceland meant living in a house that wasn't exactly a home, but a global cultural symbol. From a young age, she knew that everything she did was observed, remembered, praised, or criticized. That leaves marks. When Elvis died, Lisa was only 9 years old, an age when a child should be lost in imagination, not grief under the spotlight. The loss of her father, especially the sudden way it happened, shaped her personality, her sensitivity, and her internal struggles for the rest of her life. Even so, she tried to build her own identity outside her father's shadow. She released albums, dedicated herself to her daughters, got involved in personal causes, but always carried the weight of being Elvis's heir. The pressure and constant idealization created invisible cracks that grew much deeper after 2020, the year that changed everything. The death of her son Benjamin was the final blow. Their bond was so strong that many in the family said Ben looked almost identical to young Elvis. Lisa called him my heart, my soulmate, my everything. When he died, something inside her broke. She later described her existence as a daily battle, saying grief wasn't a chapter that ends, but a hallway you walk through forever. Her writing about loss is devastating. She speaks of emptiness, guilt, and a pain that consumes every cell of your body, and makes it clear that she lived on mainly for her daughters because she felt they still needed her. This fragile emotional state was compounded by physical problems that had been building silently. Years earlier, Lisa underwent bariatric surgery, a common procedure, but one that can cause late complications, especially internal scar tissue. Over time, this scar tissue can form adhesions that pull, twist, or compress parts of the intestine. It's a deceptive condition because symptoms often come and go, leading the person to believe it's just stomach pain or food discomfort. That's exactly what happened to Lisa. For months, she reported abdominal pain, nausea, vomiting, and even fever. These were classic signs of a partial intestinal blockage, a problem that evolves slowly but can suddenly become fatal when the blockage cuts off the blood supply to the intestine. In her case, the symptoms worsened over time, but like many people, she minimized them, believing they were temporary or stress-related. It's important to understand that emotional and physical health are deeply intertwined. Grief weakens the body, lowers immunity, disrupts sleep, changes appetite, and can hide serious physical symptoms. For a mother who lost a child, especially someone as sensitive as Lisa, the tendency is to prioritize emotional suffering and ignore physical warning signs. She expressed deep sadness, battled depression, and appeared emotionally fragile, even as her body was signaling an urgent need for medical attention. On top of that, she faced the challenges of lifelong public exposure, turbulent relationships, exhausting career decisions, and financial difficulties that arose in recent years. Lisa lived under constant pressure, from the media, from family, from estate managers, and even from circumstances she didn't choose. She carried Elvis's legacy with pride, but also with a weight few can imagine. So when we analyze Lisa Marie's final hours, we're not talking about a sudden medical emergency. We're talking about years of emotional pain, months of silent physical warnings, and a lifetime of internal battles. Her death did not begin on the day her body collapsed. It began much earlier, in unresolved traumas, ignored symptoms, and emotional suffering intensified by the loss of Benjamin. Lisa Marie wasn't just a celebrity. She was a woman hurting physically and emotionally, trying to hold everything together while the world expected her to remain strong. This is the backdrop that explains why January 12th wasn't just an isolated incident, but the final chapter of a long, invisible journey, one that few ever truly understood. To fully grasp what happened to Lisa Marie Presley in her final hours, we must view that day not as a single event, but as the culmination of a quiet process that worsened progressively. The morning of January 12, 2023 began like any other, but it carried a tragic end no one imagined was so near. That morning, Lisa Marie was at home in Calabasas, a peaceful area of Los Angeles. She lived with her ex-husband and longtime friend, Danny Coe. After Benjamin's death, they resumed a quiet coexistence, providing emotional support for one another. It was familiar, intimate, and safe, the kind of space where body and soul are expected to rest. But that day brought anything except rest. She woke up complaining again of severe abdominal pain. It wasn't new. These pains had been happening for months, but this time they were different, sharper, more persistent, as if something inside her had finally crossed a critical threshold. For someone living with intermittent symptoms, it's hard to distinguish between a temporary crisis and a true emergency. Her body had been sending signals for a long time, but that morning the signals grew overwhelming. Soon after waking, the pain intensified to the point of restricting movement. Reports suggest she was pale, tense, frequently holding her abdomen. This type of pain, when linked to intestinal obstruction, can escalate quickly and unleash a devastating chain reaction throughout the body. And that is exactly what happened. Around 10:30 a.m., the situation reached its breaking point. Lisa Marie went into cardiac arrest at home. In moments like these, every second matters, and fate placed Danny, father of her children, as the one to find her unconscious. Desperate, he immediately began CPR while someone called emergency services. In moments like that, time both speeds up and slows down. Everything happens fast, yet feels endless. While Danny fought to revive her, Lisa's body was already in systemic collapse. A severe intestinal obstruction can cause shock, internal infection, chemical imbalance, and eventually cardiac arrest. From that moment, every heartbeat became an act of survival. Minutes later, paramedics and firefighters arrived at the home. They took over CPR, administered specific medications, and managed to restore minimal vital signs. But that didn't mean she was stable, only that there was still something to fight for. Lisa's condition was extremely critical, and the top priority was transporting her alive to the nearest hospital. She was taken to West Hills Hospital in the San Fernando Valley, where a full medical team awaited her. Upon arrival, she was placed on advanced life support, mechanical ventilation, deep sedation, and continuous monitoring. The situation was dire. A severe intestinal obstruction doesn't just affect the intestine, it can disrupt the entire body: kidneys, liver, circulation, and even the brain. While the doctors worked to reverse the damages, Priscilla Presley received the most devastating call a mother can receive. Her daughter was in the hospital, in critical condition, and needed her immediately. Priscilla rushed there. When she arrived, she was told Lisa was in a medically induced coma with minimal response. In many cases, this kind of coma isn't exactly a medical choice. It's the body's own response to overwhelming collapse. Then began hours of waiting, fear, and quiet hope. Family members stayed by Lisa's side, holding her hand, speaking to her, even knowing her response was minimal. In these moments, families often feel caught between two realities: the hope for a miracle and the painful intuition that the body is giving up. As the hours passed, doctors evaluated the internal damage. Lisa's intestine was severely compromised, and the obstruction had led to multiple organ failure. Her neurological activity showed worrying signs. In simple terms, her body could no longer sustain life without machines. Then came the hardest decision. Priscilla was called into a private conversation and received a clear, compassionate explanation. The chances of meaningful recovery were virtually non-existent. Keeping Lisa on life support would not save her. It would only prolong a process that had already become irreversible. With a shattered heart, Priscilla made the decision no mother should ever have to face. She authorized the removal of life support machines. A moment of love and heartbreak intertwined. By late afternoon, Lisa Marie Presley was pronounced dead, around 5 p.m. That moment closed not just a day, but an entire chapter of a complex, intense, deeply human life. The final hours of Lisa Marie were not just a medical event. They were the cruel portrait of a body giving way after years of emotional, physical, and silent suffering. A tragedy that happened quickly but had been building slowly, pain after pain, symptom after symptom. To fully understand Lisa Marie Presley's death, we must look beyond the hospital room and examine what truly led her there. Her passing was not the result of a single isolated cause, but a combination of medical, emotional, and circumstantial factors intertwined over many years. Medically, the official cause was a severe small bowel obstruction. This obstruction is extremely dangerous when caused by internal adhesions, scar tissue that forms after abdominal surgeries, such as the bariatric procedure Lisa underwent years earlier. These adhesions act like glue inside the body. They can pull, twist, or tightly compress parts of the intestine. When that happens, blood flow can be cut off, leading to tissue death, severe infection, and total organ failure. It's a silent, deceptive process, often ignored until it's too late. Her months of abdominal pain, nausea, vomiting, and fever were early warnings that went unnoticed or minimized. But reducing her death to a physical explanation would ignore half the truth. Inside Lisa existed another kind of obstruction: emotional, psychological, and invisible. The death of her son Benjamin shattered her internal foundation. The grief of a mother losing a child has no name, no logic, and often no cure. Lisa described waking up each day feeling his absence like a wave that washes everything away, making even simple tasks difficult. This emotional pain affected her sleep, appetite, immune system, and ability to perceive her own physical danger. In deep grief, people commonly overlook symptoms, minimize pain, or avoid medical care. The emotional and physical collapses fed into one another. Emotional pain muffled physical urgency. Physical suffering drained what little emotional strength remained. Another significant factor was the psychological pressure she faced throughout her life. As Elvis Presley's daughter, she never had a normal existence. Every decision, relationship, success, or mistake was magnified and dissected by the public. She experienced public divorces, legal battles, financial strain, and the relentless weight of her father's legacy. To millions, Lisa wasn't just Lisa, she was Presley, the living link to one of the most influential artists in history. That comes with an emotional cost few can understand. So, when we look at her cause of death, we see two intertwined paths: a body weakened by a devastating medical complication, and a soul exhausted by years of grief, pressure, exposure, and loss. And then we reach her legacy. Despite her struggles, Lisa Marie leaves behind a legacy far greater than her last name. She was the bridge between Elvis and the modern world, a woman who fiercely protected her father's legacy, turning Graceland into an emotional sanctuary for millions of fans. As an artist, she wrote music that revealed her inner world, songs about pain, rebirth, love, and resilience. She maintained her own voice, marked by authenticity and vulnerability. As a mother, her legacy is even more profound. Her daughter, Riley Cow, has become a successful actress and, after her mother's death, assumed the role of Graceland's guardian. Her twins, Harper and Finley, carry not only the Presley heritage, but the emotional imprint of a mother who loved them deeply. In the end, there is something deeply symbolic. Lisa was buried in Graceland's meditation garden, beside Elvis and Benjamin. A father, a daughter, and a grandson, reunited once again. For Presley fans, this represents more than the end of a story. It feels like the closing of an emotional circle begun decades ago. Lisa Marie's legacy is not simply that of an heiress. It is the legacy of a woman who tried tirelessly to balance the weight of public expectation with the turbulence inside her own heart. A woman who lived intensely, suffered deeply, and loved with her whole soul. Her death reveals how invisible human pain can be, even when lived in front of the entire world. But her legacy proves that, despite everything, she left an indelible mark, as an artist, as a mother, as a daughter, and as a symbol of the strength and fragility within all of us. The story of Lisa Marie Presley is a powerful reminder that behind the brightest icons are human beings fighting battles unseen by the world. If this journey through her final hours brought you reflection, emotion, or a deeper understanding of who she truly was, then I invite you to stay with me on this mission to explore stories that deserve to be remembered with respect and depth. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications so you don't miss our upcoming videos, and leave a like. It helps YouTube share this video with others who love the Presley family and want to understand their true history. And if you know someone who admires Elvis, Lisa, or Graceland, share this video with them. That's how this memory stays alive. Thank you for watching until the end. I'll see you in the next video, and may the Presley legacy continue to inspire us.